Today's vlog is entitled I Care. And I'm going to be talking about why caring is so important for the human species, especially right now. It is so important. Caring is not a soft skill. It is not for the meek. It is not for the weak. Caring is one of the strongest characteristics of being a human and a mammal, because we see this in the mammalian species. So let me start. Hi, I'm Claudia Cauterucci. I'm a psychotherapist based in Washington, D.C., and I do all sorts of content. Today I'm doing a vlog, which is my medium-sized content. I have a podcast, which usually goes an hour or maybe 90 minutes. And I also have my Cloudisms, where I provide words and phrases and sometimes tools to help emotionally regulate, mentally reframe situations, and spiritually connect with the now moment. Because I am a psycho-spiritual coach, so I like to work from a concept that I coined called the all is in the small and the small is in the all, which means that whatever is happening to us as an individual can be translated out there into the collective, into the spiritual world, into what's happening on the planet. And the reverse is also true, that the all is in the small, that what's happening out there for humans is happening to us as one human. So let me continue. I really feel like it is so timely for me to talk about the importance of care. Let me start with the big picture, with the umbrella picture. It is big because I believe, and I wrote it in the book, The Diversity in Humanity, and in The Empath Leader, I emphasize that it is care that has kept us alive. For some folks, the belief is that it's been the survival of the fittest. And I do get that concept, right? Because as humans, we've been resilient, we've been strong, we've been powerful. It has kept us fit. And I think that there's a parallel process that's true. But as a human species, there have also been communities and other humans that have cared, that have provided shelter from danger, that have provided nursing, medicine, healing, comfort, resources, so many things, because one group of humans cared for another group of humans. Okay? Care is what makes people come together during war. It kept us alive. Now listen, there's been this quote that circled around after the pandemic that I found incredibly powerful. Now, whether this quote comes from the person they said authored it, which was Margaret Mead, is still uncertain. It did make me think about this concept of care, and I'm going to read it to you. According to a commonly shared story, the anthropologist Margaret Mead was supposedly asked by a student what she thought was the earliest sign of civilized society beyond industry, beyond agriculture, beyond forming communities, let's say, beside a riverbank. And there are many variations of this anecdote, but the details are similar. Mead replied that the first sign of civilization is a healed human femur, the long bone that connects the hip to the knee. Mead proceeded to explain, as the story goes, that wounded animals in the wild would be hunted and eaten before their broken bones could heal. Thus, a healed femur is a sign that a wounded person must have received help from others. Mead is said to have concluded helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts. And I would add where civility starts. So whether this is Margaret Mead's quote or not, it actually sparks in me this idea of being a civilian, of being civil, of having common human decency, and it includes helping one another. It is a beautiful feel-good story, one that puts kindness, altruism, and collaboration at the very heart of being human. Let's continue, because it makes sense and it's logical that in a time, and there's been endless times of turbulence, of tragedies, of planetary disasters, where other humans, without knowing each other, have come to each other's aid. This includes the Underground Railroad. It includes the New Orleans flood. Maybe when the government wasn't coming to aid, people were coming to aid. The latest floods in North Carolina, the fires in LA, the examples are endless. Certainly the people who on the down low helped the Jews during the Nazi regime. It is so important to consider that it is the human characteristic of care that helps humans. It is during the time of early humanoid civilizations where if a woman was pregnant or if there was an elderly person, there would be people who would help them, who would help the children, who would carry the wounded on their backs. These are all signs of care. We know that in wolf packs, this is so beautiful. It is not the leader, the alpha, who goes in front of the pack. Think of this beautiful, beautiful anecdote. The leader of the pack, the alpha, actually goes behind the pack to make sure that everyone is moving forward, and the alpha will be behind to make sure that there are no enemies or predators following them, and creates this wall of defense for the pack that's moving forward before the alpha. These are ways that all over the human species, but also mammalian species, that this idea of caring, which sometimes can mean protecting, shows up. Because we protect when we care. Now let's move from the big picture to the medium picture. I have so much to say about this, but because this is just a vlog, I'm not going to go on and on. Let's move to medium size. Like this is a funnel. That was the big part. Here's the medium size. Caring does not require love. Caring does not require that you know someone else. Caring means that you see someone who has so many bags, or maybe is walking with a cane on the bus or on the metro, and you offer your seat. In day-to-day society, it looks like people who care about picking up litter. There's this couple on Sunday mornings, and I've joined them. I've woken up to join them a few times, because they walk around the neighborhoods just picking up litter. They carry a big trash bag and they're picking up litter. They care for the cleanliness of their neighborhood. Teachers who year after year don't know their students. What they care about is teaching children to read, to write. I have a few examples that were so powerful for me. And that really, they're just so powerful because they demonstrated the power. This is what I mean. This is not a soft characteristic in the human, because it makes people powerful. It makes people go beyond their moment by moment convenience comfort. One time I was on a plane with my 9-month-old, who maybe he was 6 months old, couldn't stop crying because his ears were hurting. And you know how uncomfortable and hard it is to be on a plane with a crying baby when people are trying to sleep. And I just kept walking up and down the aisle holding my baby, you know, feeling horrible for him, wanting to cry myself because I knew he was in so much pain and he couldn't get to sleep. A woman dressed in complete burqa. I couldn't even see her face because only her eyes were showing. Got up from her seat and came up to me and went like this. And I immediately knew that we were looking at each other because all I could see was her eyes, from mother to mother. And I handed her my baby, and she did something. There was something about her demeanor. And she was rocking him in a way where he immediately got quiet. And she gestured to me to go sit back down, that she would hold him. And she did until he fell asleep. I feel teary-eyed right now just thinking of her, because she is emblazoned in my memory. We didn't know each other. We couldn't see each other. She cared. That's also a form of empathy. She cared and she helped me. In the book, I talked about a moment, again with my son, that I had very little gas in the car left. And I didn't want to alarm him, but I was feeling so afraid, and the gas light was going off. And I knew there was a gas station near. And my car just putted. It stopped. And it stopped about, I think, maybe 1,000 feet from the gas station. And next to me, there was this pickup truck with 4 Latino construction guys. And they saw me. And without saying a word, they stopped the truck. They all ran out. And I'm still in driver's seat. My son is back. And they just pushed, the 4 of them, they pushed my car to the gas station. When I got to the gas station, I offered them money. All of these stories make me want to cry. And they said, no, señora, con gusto, with pleasure. And they just ran back to their pickup truck and continued with their day. That's human care. There was another time when I was in my 20s, I used to swim a mile every day. And I was doing a particular diet at the time. And I'd swum my mile. And I went into the sauna afterwards. I started feeling very dizzy, but I pushed past it, went into the shower. The next thing I know, I was on the floor. I had fainted in the shower. And when I opened my eyes, there was a group around me. There were 3 African American women who had been in the shower. They must have heard me fall. And all I could see was their beautiful faces being so tender, so kind to me. They helped me get up. They wrapped a towel around me. They sat me down. They waited with me. They went and got water. This is human care. In those 3 examples, I didn't know them, and it didn't matter. They cared about me as a fellow human. So let's move into the individual part of this vlog. Is what I see in my sessions quite a bit. I see it in young people a lot, where, especially in the dating scene, a lot of them are acting like they don't care. They say things like, all right, he didn't call back, whatever. All these shrugging the shoulders, I don't care. Men who are acting like they don't care. that people aren't caring about committing, about making promises to each other. They're not caring. I see it in individual sessions when people aren't caring for their homes. And in the worst occasions, there's hoarding. And for me, the way that I see hoarding, I see it immediately as very, very acute, intense, extremely unprocessed abandonment fear, which means that you've got to surround yourself with material things in order to soothe separation anxiety or abandonment fear. And I could talk about that more. Put it in the comments if you'd like me to. But if you're not caring for your home, it is a metaphor of how you're not caring for yourself. In day-to-day society, what that looks like is that we are littering, that we are polluting, that we are not caring for what's happening with our neighbors, to our buildings, to our streets. Signs of depression, for example, one of the clinical symptoms is when people start caring for their hygiene. They stop caring to be on time. They stop caring to go to work. So care is a symbol of deeper things going on in the human, because the opposite is also true. When we care for our financial situations, when we care for our children, when we wash their faces and comb their hair, that's another symptom sometimes of childhood neglect, is when children have not been taught hygiene, or they come to school and their hair is constantly in disarray or dirty, or their clothing is dirty, or their teeth. These are all signs of non-care, which flags for adults or for psychologists or for teachers that something is wrong. The non-caring of children or of the self or of the home are all signs that something is moving into decay. People are saying things like, I don't care whether they text or not. I don't care whether they treat me well or not. And I am saying in this vlog, care about it. Care about yourself. When we care about how our home looks, how we feel on the inside, our self-value, our self-worth begins to go up. When we care about other humans, their value, their worth begins to go up. It is no surprise that when other humans, when groups, communities, ethnicities feel uncared for, disrespected, devalued, all synonyms to care, they rebel, they diminish, they sacrifice. They sacrifice themselves. And if you're an empath, this is what we do. We sacrifice ourselves. We sacrifice our communities when we stop caring. Caring doesn't mean we have to be in love, but we have to care to treat ourselves and others with respect. When we say, I care, we are making a deposit into ourselves. We are not making withdrawals. Young people, this applies to the dating scene. I tell my young folks, listen, start caring about how you show up and how you treat people. We need to clean up that whole dating scene and put care back into it. If people are ghosting, use the antidote. Don't ghost. Just say, hey, I noticed you ghost me. I'm sad that you did, or it's really disappointing to me, but I'm not going to ghost you. Say, listen, I don't think we're a match, So I'm just going to stop texting you from now on. But I hope things go well for you. Care. Have respect for humans. You don't have to love them. You don't have to know them. These were all my examples. It is caring that has kept our species alive, other mammals alive. Care about it. Care about your self-empowerment. Care about your self-healing. Heal yourself means you're caring for the planet. You are caring for others. And I'm going to close this out right now because I'll just keep going on, but I think you get my message. Care about the cleanliness of your neighborhood, about the cleanliness of your rivers. And my loves, my soul tribe, my soul people, care will be the antidote, the power play, the chess move of these times, of 2025 on. It was what worked during the pandemic. We cared during the fires, during the floods, during slavery. It's what worked. This is the antidote. Millions and millions and millions of people who care about what's happening and who care for other humans. I care, which is why I'm doing these vlogs, this podcast about heaven on earth, my cloudisms, because the healing of you is the healing of me, of my people, of our human species. So powerful. I'll see you in the next cloudism, the next Heaven on Earth podcast, or the next vlog.